The morning sun cast long shadows across the marble floors of Chen Industries' executive suite. Marcus Chen, tech billionaire and CEO, stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows of his San Francisco headquarters, watching the city wake below. At 42, he'd built an empire from nothing, but lately, something gnawed at him, a question about human nature he couldn't shake. "Maya," he called to his executive assistant, "I need you to arrange something unusual." Maya Rodriguez looked up from her tablet, one eyebrow raised. After 5 years working for Marcus, she knew that tone meant he was about to do something unpredictable. "I want to conduct an experiment," Marcus continued, turning from the window. "Tomorrow evening, after hours. I need 4 people from our night cleaning crew, people who've worked here at least 2 years. Reliable. Good records. May I ask why?" Maya ventured. Marcus smiled enigmatically. "Let's just say I want to understand what people do when they're truly free to choose." The next evening, 4 women sat nervously in the executive conference room, unused to being anywhere near this part of the building. Each wore their Chen Industries cleaning uniform, navy blue polo shirts and practical slacks. Rosa Martinez, 53, wrung her hands quietly. She'd been cleaning offices for 3 decades, sending money home to her family in Guatemala every month without fail. Keisha Washington, 28, sat with perfect posture despite her exhaustion. She attended nursing school during the day and cleaned offices at night, determined to build a better future. Linda Okonkwo, 37, clutched her worn purse nervously. A widow with 3 children, she worked 2 jobs to keep food on the table and her kids in decent schools. Jennifer Hayes, 45, appeared the most relaxed of the 4, though her eyes betrayed her curiosity. She'd been cleaning this building longer than anyone, watching tech millionaires come and go. Marcus entered the room with Maya, who carried a sleek black briefcase. The women straightened immediately. "Please, relax," Marcus said warmly, taking a seat across from them. "You're not in any trouble. In fact, I want to thank you. Each of you has worked for Chen Industries for years, and I've noticed something. You're invisible to most people here, but you're also the most consistent, trustworthy people in this building." The women exchanged uncertain glances. "I have let's call it a social experiment," Marcus continued. "I'm going to give each of you something, and I want to see what you do with it. There's no right or wrong answer. Just honesty." Maya opened the briefcase, revealing 4 identical black envelopes. She placed one in front of each woman. Inside each envelope, Marcus explained, is a prepaid credit card loaded with $50,000. Keisha gasped. Linda's hand flew to her mouth. Rosa's eyes widened, and even Jennifer sat forward in shock. "You can spend it on anything you want," Marcus said. "Anything at all. There are only 3 rules. First, you have 1 week. Second, you must spend all of it, you can't just save it or give the whole amount away. And third, you have to tell me honestly what you bought and why." "Is this real?" Keisha whispered. Marcus nodded. "Completely real. Think of it as a bonus. A chance to do something you've always wanted but never could." "What's the catch?" Jennifer asked suspiciously. "No catch. I'm simply curious about human nature. What do people do when scarcity suddenly disappears, even temporarily?" Rosa's voice trembled as she spoke. "Senor Chen, I don't understand." "Why us?" "Because you're honest workers who've never asked for anything," Marcus replied. "Because you're invisible to the people who should see you. And because I want to know, what do you really value?" Maya pulled out documents. "You'll each need to sign an acknowledgement that you've received this bonus. What you do with it is entirely your choice. 1 week from today, we'll meet again, and you can tell me, or not. But I hope you will." The week that followed revealed more than Marcus could have anticipated. Rosa Martinez didn't sleep the first night. The black card sat on her kitchen table like a ticking bomb. $50,000. More money than she'd saved in her entire life. Her first thought was her family, her aging mother in Guatemala who needed cataract surgery, her brother who'd lost his farm to floods, her niece who'd been forced to drop out of school. But Marcus's words echoed, "What do you value?" For 3 days, Rosa wrestled with herself. Then, on the 4th day, she did something she'd never done. She walked into a boutique in Union Square and bought herself a beautiful dress, emerald green, the kind she'd admired on mannequins but never dared touch. The salesperson treated her differently than usual. With the card in her hand, she was no longer invisible. She bought her mother's surgery, $8,000. She sent money for her niece's school fees, $3,000. She paid off her brother's debts, $5,000. But then Rosa did something that surprised even herself. She'd always dreamed of taking a painting class. For 30 years, she'd told herself it was frivolous, a waste. Now, she enrolled in a 10-week course at the community college, $500. She bought real art supplies, another $300. She donated $15,000 to a scholarship fund for immigrant students. And with the remaining money, she invested in a small food cart business with her daughter, something they'd talked about for years but never thought possible. Keisha Washington's response was immediate and methodical. She'd learned long ago that opportunities didn't wait. Within 2 days, she'd paid off her student loans entirely, $23,000. The weight that lifted from her shoulders when she clicked "Submit Payment" brought tears to her eyes. She bought a reliable used car for $6,000, no more 3-hour bus commutes between school and work. She purchased textbooks for her next 3 semesters, $2,000. She bought scrubs, a professional stethoscope, nursing supplies, $800. But Keisha also surprised herself. She'd grown up in foster care, never knowing stability. She spent $5,000 on furniture for her tiny apartment, not fancy, but new. A real bed frame. A small couch. A desk where she could study properly. Things that made her efficiency apartment feel like a home for the first time. She donated $10,000 to the foster care advocacy group that had helped her age out of the system. And with the remaining money, she created a small emergency fund and paid 3 months' rent in advance. Security. That's what she bought with her card, the kind of security she'd never known. Linda Okonkwo's hands shook as she held the card. 3 children, 2 jobs, endless bills. The reasonable thing would be to catch up on everything, the rent she was 2 months behind on, the electricity bill she'd been juggling, her daughter's glasses she couldn't afford to replace. And she did handle those things, $6,000 that immediately removed the crushing anxiety she carried daily. But then Linda remembered who she'd been before becoming a widow, before survival became her only goal. She'd been a teacher in Nigeria before immigrating. She'd loved education, believed in it with her whole heart. She spent $15,000 setting up college funds for each of her 3 children, equal amounts, proper accounts, something they could build on. She bought her eldest daughter, brilliant in mathematics, a laptop for her studies, $2,000. She purchased a full set of encyclopedias and books for all 3 children, $800. Then, in a moment of what her practical mind called madness but her heart knew was healing, she bought a piano, a modest upright, used but beautiful, for $3,000. Her youngest had shown such talent, such joy, picking out melodies on keyboards at stores. Linda had always said, someday. Now, someday had arrived. She upgraded her own work wardrobe, not luxury, but dignity. Clothes that fit, that made her feel capable rather than desperate. She donated $5,000 to her church's refugee assistance program. And she kept a small amount for family dinners out, simple meals where her children could be children, not recipients of her constant stress. Jennifer Hay surprised everyone, most of all herself. She'd been cleaning offices for 27 years. She'd watched people climb corporate ladders, make fortunes, lose fortunes, celebrate, despair. She'd learned to observe, to notice what people valued when they thought no one was watching. Jennifer spent the first 2 days simply thinking. Then she started spending, but not on herself. She found 4 families in her apartment building who were struggling. Single mothers, elderly couples, families hit by medical debt. Anonymously, through carefully purchased gift cards and cash deposits, she distributed $20,000 among them. She left the money with notes that said simply, "You're seen. You matter." She donated $10,000 to the homeless shelter where she volunteered every Saturday morning. Then, for herself, Jennifer did something odd. She'd always been fascinated by photography, by capturing moments people missed. She bought a professional camera and enrolled in a photography course, $5,000 total. She purchased a new laptop and photo editing software, $3,000. She created a small website showcasing photographs of invisible workers, janitors, cleaners, security guards, the people who kept the city running while everyone else slept. The remaining money went to upgrading her elderly mother's assisted living situation, a better room, better care, dignity in her final years. 1 week later, they gathered again in the conference room. This time, the 4 women looked different, not in obvious ways, but in the set of their shoulders, the clarity in their eyes. Marcus listened as each woman shared her story. Maya took notes, but Marcus noticed her wiping her eyes more than once. When they finished, Marcus sat quietly for a long moment. "I expected different results," he finally admitted. "I thought at least one of you would blow the money on frivolous things. Luxury items. Status symbols. That's what my board members predicted. They thought people who'd never had money would waste it when they got it." "And?" Jennifer asked, a slight smile on her face. "And I'm reminded that the people we overlook often have the clearest values," Marcus said. "Rosa, you balanced selflessness with self-worth. Keisha, you invested in your future while honoring your past. Linda, you secured your children's dreams while reclaiming your own. Jennifer, you multiplied the gift by giving it away, but you also claimed your own voice." He stood and walked to the window. "Every person I gave this test to in my social circle, tech executives, venture capitalists, wealthy friends, they spent the money on themselves. Luxury goods, exotic trips, status symbols. Not one of them prioritized others first. Not one of them invested in their community. And not one of them used it to pursue a dream they deferred." Turning back to the women, Marcus continued, "I started this experiment believing that wealth reveals character. I was wrong. Scarcity reveals character. What you do when you have nothing, how you maintain dignity, compassion, and hope, that's the real test. This money just gave you permission to act on values you already held." Rosa spoke up, her voice stronger than before. "Senor Chen, may I ask you something?" "Of course. What will you do with this information?" Marcus smiled. "I'm going to change how my company works. Maya will head a new program. We're going to create education funds, emergency assistance, and opportunity grants for every support staff member across all our offices. Not as charity, but as recognition that the people who keep this company running deserve more than invisibility." He pulled out 4 more envelopes, regular ones this time. "These are employment contracts. I'm creating a new division focused on corporate social responsibility, and I need people who understand what really matters. I want each of you to consider joining it, full-time positions, benefits, salary 3 times what you make now. Your job would be to help design programs that support workers like yourselves across the industry." The room went silent. Keisha found her voice first. "You're offering us jobs? Real jobs?" "I'm offering you careers," Marcus corrected. "Your real-world wisdom is worth more than any business degree. You've been invisible long enough. I want you visible, making decisions, shaping policy, changing lives." Jennifer laughed, a sound of pure disbelief and joy. I'm 65 years old, Mr. Chen. I was planning to retire in a few years. Then help us for those few years, Marcus said. Train the next generation. Share what you know. Leave a legacy beyond clean floors. 3 months later, Chen Industries announced a revolutionary new employee support program. The tech press covered it skeptically at first, another billionaire trying to buy good PR. But as details emerged, other companies began paying attention. The program included emergency funds for employees facing crisis, education grants for workers and their children, mental health support, childcare assistance, and opportunity stipends, money employees could use to pursue dreams, with no strings attached. At the heart of the program were 4 women who'd once been invisible. Rosa Martinez now ran the Education and Family Support Division, her office walls covered with thank you letters from workers whose lives had changed. She still attended her painting class every Thursday evening. Keisha Washington, after completing her nursing degree, managed the health and wellness initiatives, ensuring every employee had access to quality healthcare. She drove to work in her used Honda, still practical, still focused. Linda Okonkwo directed the childcare and family programs, her own children thriving now that she could attend their recitals and soccer games. Piano music often floated from her home in the evenings. Jennifer Hayes led the mentorship and opportunity programs, her photography project expanding into a nationwide movement celebrating essential workers. Her exhibition, The Invisible Ones, had toured 12 cities. One evening, Maya found Marcus in his office, reading reports from the new division. "The board thinks you're crazy," she said. "They say this program costs too much, that you're being soft." Marcus looked up. "What do the numbers say?" "Employee retention is up 40%. Productivity is up 22%. We're getting applications from the best talent in the industry, people who want to work for a company that values humanity. And the press coverage has been incredible. Stock prices are at an all-time high. So I'm crazy like a fox." Maya smiled. "I think you're crazy like a human being who remembered that businesses are made of people, not just profit margins." Marcus stood and walked to his window, looking out at the city lights. "I grew up with nothing, Maya. Absolutely nothing. I fought and clawed my way here, and somewhere along the way, I forgot what nothing feels like. I forgot that the people scrubbing toilets at 2 a.m. might have dreams as big as mine were. Bigger, maybe, because they still believed despite having every reason not to. Those 4 women taught you that? They reminded me. There's a difference between being self-made and being self-aware. I thought I'd made myself. But I'd forgotten all the invisible people who made it possible for me to focus on building my empire, the cleaners, the security guards, the cafeteria workers. They held up the world so people like me could reach for the stars." He turned back to Maya. "I want to expand the program. Every Chen Industries office worldwide. And I want to create a foundation, other companies can join, share resources, build a network. We'll call it the Visible Project. The board will definitely think you're crazy now." Marcus grinned. "Then let them. I gave 4 women $50,000 each to see what they'd do with it. They showed me what I'd lost, the understanding that wealth isn't about what you have, it's about what you do with it. That real luxury isn't a yacht or a mansion. It's the freedom to help others, to pursue meaning, to make a difference." "And the black cards? Did you keep them?" "No. I had them framed and mounted in the new division's conference room, along with a plaque. It reads, 'These cards bought more than goods and services. They bought a reminder that character isn't built in abundance, it's revealed by it.'" A year later, the Visible Project had spread to 47 companies across 12 industries. The model was simple: recognize essential workers not as overhead but as human beings with potential. Invest in them. Trust them. Watch them transform not just their own lives, but the culture of entire organizations. Rosa's painting of her first sunset, painted during that very first class she'd enrolled in, hung in Chen Industries' main lobby. It wasn't technically perfect, but it radiated joy, the work of someone discovering a dream could be real. Keisha had started a scholarship program for foster youth pursuing healthcare careers. 23 students were enrolled in their first year. Linda's children had formed a small trio, piano, violin, and voice, performing at community events. Her eldest daughter had been accepted to MIT with a full scholarship. Jennifer's photography book, Scene, The Essential Workers Who Build Our World, had become a bestseller, with all proceeds going to worker support funds. But the real change was less visible, more profound. Across the country, in offices and factories and hospitals, workers who'd once been background noise were being seen, heard, valued. Not because of a black card or sudden wealth, but because someone had finally asked the right question: what do people do when you give them not just money, but dignity? Marcus Chen learned the answer wasn't what he'd expected. People who'd never had anything didn't waste their chance when they got it. They used it to become more fully themselves, to help others, to pursue deferred dreams, to invest in futures they'd been told to stop imagining. The real experiment wasn't about the money at all. It was about visibility. About recognition. About understanding that every person scrubbing a floor or emptying a trash can or securing a building in the dark hours has a story, has dreams, has value beyond their function. And sometimes, all it takes to change the world is to see the people who've been there all along. Friends, if you are enjoying our videos and want to watch new and exciting black man stories every day, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure to turn on the bell icon so you never miss any of our latest uploads. Like the video and share it with your friends as well, so our community can continue to grow and bring you even more amazing content.